How do you qualify for Chapter 7? There's a means test, and there are certain time limitations that may keep you from filing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you want to qualify for Chapter 7, you need to pass the means test. Chapter 7 is the cheapest and quickest form of bankruptcy. It's the very bankruptcy that you want to file if you have very little income or very little assets. But to qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you have to be eligible for it. You can only file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy once every 8 years and get a discharge. So if you filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy just 5 years ago, the only bankruptcy you can really file is a Chapter 13. You might be able to file that Chapter 13, live in that Chapter 13 for 3 years, and then dismiss the case and file your Chapter 7 that you wanted. The U.S. trustee audits every Chapter 7 bankruptcy that's filed to see if a debtor has the income to fund a Chapter 13 instead of a Chapter 7. Here's how to qualify for a Chapter 7, which over 97% of the people should be eligible for. Look at the 4 pages on our website. If you're single, you don't have any substantial assets, and you make less than about $46,000 a year, you probably immediately qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. There are 2 parts to a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. First, do you make less money than the average family of your size in your state? For instance, for a single individual, single guy usually makes about $45,000 a year. If you make less than that $45,000, then you automatically qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But there's a second part to that means test. Here's the second part. You get to deduct for all your reasonable and necessary expenses to see if you can qualify for a means test, okay? And qualify for that Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you deduct for your daycare expenses, your medical expenses, your house payment, your car payment, there may be nothing left to fund that Chapter 13 with. It may not be feasible. In that case, you still qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Remember, these are your reasonable and necessary expenses, so they include all your medical bills. What happens is people often look over some of the necessary expenses that they have to have. You have to pay your car taxes every year, but you don't think of that while you're doing your budget. We've got a page that shows you these expenses that we quite often forget. Try to remember that attorneys make 3 times more money in a Chapter 13 than they do in a Chapter 7. Quite often, some attorneys forget these other expenses, and they talk to you about how you want to file as a Chapter 13. Try to remember you have a bigger obligation to yourself and your children than you do to making the attorney rich or to your creditors. You have to have a budget that you can live on, okay? And at our office, we look for these expenses each and every time we do a means test to see if you qualify for a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7. It may be that you need to file as a Chapter 13 because you may need to end up getting yourself out of foreclosure. You may need to protect a co-maker. You may need certain things. But if a Chapter 7 is best for you, try to remember that 97% of the time you should qualify unless you make such a high income that it forces you into a Chapter 13. Okay. If you're a high income filer, be ready for the U.S. trustee who's probably going to look over every expense. You need an experienced attorney, somebody that knows how to get you through this, rather than a younger attorney that may not have those years of experience. Our expertise is in the bankrupting and managing of difficult debts like foreclosures, taxes, and student loans. If you want to learn more, download our book and go to our website, bankruptcy-divorce.com, or call us at 502-625-0905. We'll be happy to schedule you a free in-person appointment and analysis. My name is Nick Thompson. I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm a bankruptcy attorney that's happy to help you through these hard times. Thank you.